Well, Chris, we might start with that. How did you spend the bye round?
I had some good time off, like we expect of all our people through this period. It's a pretty relentless job we're in, so more and more we're coming to the view that when you do get a chance to take a break, all our people should take that and make the most of it and recharge for what's going to be a pretty intense last third of the year. So, yeah, I feel good. But it's funny, you get back to work and there's no break that prepares you for the intensity of the job. But as much as possible, I feel like I've achieved that.
Sam Mitchell, I think, recently spoke about the fact that you don't really think you need the buy, and then you get it, you realise you really did need it. For you, did you know that you needed it? It was just nice to have. How do you feel about the demands of coaching after a week off?
No different. I think sometimes when you talk about really needing it, I don't think that's necessarily true. But I guess we think about the fixture a bit, in our planning around the management of our players, but we think about it more and more with the management of our people as well. And we've known about this period since October, and we encourage our people to plan around it. And it's always on the proviso that we think that investment will pay off on field. I can't think of anything we do that we think is going to be detrimental to the on field. And I guess philosophically, I'm probably reminded more and more that we might think about these things differently to some other people. And that's okay, that doesn't concern us at all. In fact, we're very aware that we're not for everyone. And everyone has their own philosophies on this stuff. Some of the people that I really respect in the game, sort of have a bit more of a view where it's like, you just got to keep grinding and you just got to keep working. And I guess we sort of take the view that when you get a chance to have a break, or take the foot off the gas a little bit, that sort of charges you to really put the foot down when it counts. But it's hard to do, it's even in the off season, it's difficult to not be thinking about it. So, but I don't think that's a bad thing either. I think the successful people I know, in society, not just in footy, passionate about what they do. And sort of by definition, when you are that way, you find yourself thinking about it a lot, which I think is the expectation of our players and people as well. But again, I'm sort of talking about a philosophical idea at our club, but I guess the thing that overrides that is it is each to their own. We just give the players and our people, the room to make that decision for themselves.
Most people go to Noosa, I think, in the footy world, but you went a bit further, it seems. What was that experience like? Was it the US that you...
Well, I just don't talk about my private life publicly. I understand that other people are interested in that, but again, I think it even extends to our players. I wouldn't like to sort of specify other situations, but I think I have said publicly, I am prepared to say it again, that we don't own our players' spare time. What they do in their day off during the week or their afternoon off is kind of up to them. We have an expectation around a level of professionalism. But again, the sort of definition of that for us is that when you're on, you're really on. And if you choose to be really off in your spare time, maybe I've spoken about Jeremy Cameron a little bit. Like, I really admire the fact that he can get away from footy the way he does, even if it's for an afternoon here or I think every now and again that afternoon's extended to a night, like on his boat. But he keeps performing, so we'll keep supporting it.
So is it a complete footy switch off for yourself, or what does it entail that way?
I haven't found that that complete off switch yet. I'm searching for it, but no, it's like post game. You try not to think about it, and you find yourself dreaming about it. If you can get to sleep at all, it's like try not to think of an apple, or you can think about it as an apple. Like, it's just always in your head. But I think there are degrees, and yeah, this is just, I don't think it would be true to say that I needed the refresh, but I do feel refreshed. Does that make sense? Maybe that's a little bit more to what Sam was talking about.
Okay. How do you, from a team perspective, feel I know it's a broad question, but feel your place heading into the back half after some, results-wise, a couple of losses there heading into the bye?
The losses heading, Adelaide by point, Freo. I think I've spoken enough about the quirkiness of the draw, and it's sort of playing more a part these days than I think it ever has, at least to my eye. But the thing that hasn't changed for a long time is I think when you get to the, what are we, about 2/3 of the way into the season, it's a bit like, you can sort of, it's hard to win the premiership. It's impossible to win the premiership early in the year, but you can kind of play your way out of it a bit. So what you're looking to do, I think, broadly is sort of be in contention. So by that measure, I'd say we're in the fight, which is, you can't do much more than that to this point of the year. I mean, even Fremantle have lost one game, but it doesn't give them that much of an advantage, relative to the 4 or 5 teams around them. So it's good from that perspective to say, okay, well, we think we're in it, but there's a lot of work to be done. It's like, we're conscious and respectful of the competition. I suspect it's going to change a bit, as we go into the last couple of months as well. It's hard to predict, which is good for the game, I guess.
It was a narrative or some suggestions that maybe you may have held a bit back, had a hand behind your back when it came to how you coached against Fremantle in case you played them later in the year. Are we people giving you too much credit, or is that real for coaches?
Oh no, if they're saying that, they're giving us too much credit as a coaching group. Because I don't think you need to anyway, because as I said, a fair bit changes anyway. We don't play them again for the home and away season, and hopefully we're good enough to get a chance to play them in a final. And I suspect will be different. I mean, even Bailey Smith not playing, Tom Stewart not playing, changes it a little bit. So there'll be the personnel thing, but I suspect there'll be a little bit of a shift in the game style stuff as well. But I don't think it's crazy to say that both teams, now that we've played each other twice, have at least had a little bit of a look at each other. But I think Fremantle are a little bit different to even the way they were playing a month ago. So I'd be staggered if they were exactly the same product in September as they are now.
You mentioned Bailey and Tom. Are they good to go on Thursday, or?
Yeah, we think so. So like Bailey just had the flu, so that it would be logical to think he's okay. And Tom's been training well, so all indications are good there. But again, I'll just keep repeating myself when it comes to the injury stuff. I think Bailey being ill sort of is a bit more obvious, but when it comes to the injury stuff, I know I've got to speak Monday before we play on Thursday night, but we just wait till the medical staff give us clearance for the guy, and we don't even ask for a running commentary. I guess the exception to that would be we've got a main session out there today, and Tom's taking full part in that. So that's we're not deaf, dumb and blind to it all. Like you can see what's going to happen, but they haven't definitively told us that he's okay yet.
Chris, can you give us some clarity around the Tyson Stengle situation for why he missed the VFL game a couple of weeks ago?
No, I can't, and I'll just repeat what I've said before. We are, by design, as a coaching group, removed from that decision making to a very large extent. So it's a bit like the injury status. We get communicated with the few days before a game around availability, and this one's not much different. So that is a different situation in that sometimes you can sort of question a little bit more as a coach, but this one, I suspect if I asked, I wouldn't even get the answer. So again, I think it fits in the category of I understand why you're interested, I'm interested as well, but I can't shed any light on it. I suspect there are other people that can, but it's just not me.
Do you expect him to play VFL this week?
I haven't heard yet. No, so again, the standard process applies there that we haven't got confirmed availability on Monday, and I suspect we won't have it until later in the week.
Is it now something that's more in your control as a club? I remember earlier this year you said it was an AFL matter, then they said it's a Geelong matter. I think Tom Harley recently said it's now a Geelong matter. In terms of who's got sort of point of call on this, is it the club at the moment that's leading and driving what's happening with Tyson?
Well, it's not me.
Yeah.
So I think if that's true, then again there's probably other people that you should put that question to. But I can say it's not me sort of making that decision. So hopefully that gives you a little bit more clarity on it. But it's like our role in these sort of situations is like I think we talk a lot about like really supporting players, and like I think it's our role to support our players like after they finish at our club. But while we're here in this position, like you shouldn't mistake the real priority that we place on player welfare for forgetting that we're also in a high performance industry where we have high expectations of our players and our people so that we can perform as well as possible. Now he's been miles off sort of being available for AFL selection, so it sort of hasn't crossed my desk, and I suspect it really won't until that becomes a bit more of a viable situation, but we're not there yet.
So how do you feel about it as a person, but as a coach probably, that you've got that player there who's obviously on a relatively long-term deal, and he's got such capability as we know, and you just don't have access to him? How frustrating is it to not have that magnet?
Yeah, I don't really think about it in terms of my personal frustration, and in a way I'm a little bit more surprised that we don't. It's not frustration, but let me put it another way. I just have so much respect for how hard it is to play these days, like across the board, from players from all sorts of backgrounds. It is a relentless job. I think I've touched on the fact that I just stopped lying about how hard coaching is. Like if you're in it for a long time, it's a hard game, but it's a price of admission, and if you want to do it, you should just be eyes wide open that it is going to be difficult. And it's a bit the same with players. There's going to be ups and downs, and I've got so much admiration for the players that can just persevere through the ups and downs as well as they do. It is a bit of a surprise to me that I have more players just saying, look, I'm finding this too tough at the moment. Which again, if we circle all the way back to where we started, it's like that's why we do sort of take the view that getting comfortable being uncomfortable is one way to go about it. We just don't think about it that way. We'd like to make things as easy as possible when we possibly can, because let's be honest, most of the time it's going to be bloody hard work. And my take on where Tyson's at is that's how he's feeling about his sort of football life at the moment. It's just all a little bit hard for him. Okay, and so there is a limit to our support with that, because we're like, hey man, we empathise with you. This is a tough game, but there are limits to where our empathy takes us, because we're not a charity as much as we'd like to be.
Yeah.
Got a couple more minutes before 10 meetings.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you've seen the figures from the Australian Sports Bank, but the number of former players diagnosed with chronic traumatic encephalopathy, CTE, has increased from known 5 players that were diagnosed. Now there's 33 players who've been diagnosed, including players in their 20s, 30s and 40s. Is that a worry for you?
I'd be really interested to learn more about it, but I couldn't speak about it intelligently privately at the moment, so I certainly won't have a crack at it publicly, but I wouldn't go so far as to say it's of concern to me, but it is of interest to me, and my guess is that we'll know a lot more about a lot of things in the sphere of general health and longevity in 5, 10, 20 years, and this probably fits into that category as well. The one thing I will say, I don't think we hear this enough. I've been in the game 30 years, 14 years as a player. I could not speak highly enough of the care, especially from a medical sense, that I received as a player. And that continued right through my coaching career. So I find it just a fraction offensive from a personal point of view when people, and I think this is across society as well, when you try to apply like today's norms and standards historically, I think that's a bridge too far. But again, we completely support the idea that there's more work to be done in all these areas. And I hate to be flippant about concussion, but I'd love to think that we'll handle hamstring strains better in 10 years. It's a process. And again, if I was, now I've just said like the care that I had as a player was outstanding, but I wish we knew what we know about hamstring injuries when I did my second one as an 18-year-old. But I don't look back and say, why weren't you applying the 2026 standard back then? I think that is just a silly thing to or a silly way to think about the world.
I guess the difference between a hamstring policy and a CTE policy is that CTE can kill you, I guess. Hamstring can...
But it doesn't, the severity doesn't, just because something's serious is serious doesn't imply that you should be able to get in a time machine and go back and apply the things that we understand today to those days. I wish we could.
View on how the arc should work? It was in the spotlighting on the weekend. Like, we've obviously had a change already this year. Does it need to change back?
I mean, in principle, I like the idea that we should prioritise getting the decisions right. But again, I understand how difficult these things are, and I think it's good to talk about. I think it is good even to hear from coaches around their opinions on this stuff. But right at the moment, it's sort of low on my list of priorities. I find I've got a finite list of things that I can really concentrate on, and that's sort of not on my radar at the moment. But again, I think use the technology to get the decisions right, but also just have this understanding that in our game it's imperfect and errors will happen.
Just before you go, how would you sum up how the AFL is handling CTE at the moment?
I just don't understand it well enough to comment intelligently.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Right, appreciate it. Thanks.
We're going to bump out really quickly.